Hey, what is up, everyone? I'm Axel, and before we begin, let me just put up some context here. My first contact with One Piece was early in the 2000s, but I didn't get into it until actually 2006, 2007, where I actually caught up with the anime and the manga. Okay, and since then, I've been up to date with all of the things with the anime. I took some breaks here and there, but I'm up to date with everything. And with the manga, I've been up to date like every week that a new one releases. So yeah, with that said, I liked the live action. Okay, I liked the live action of Netflix, but I don't think it was great. It's Some people have said like it's the first live action and it's actually good. I disagree with that because it's not the first one. The first one that I've seen that was good. Not, I'm not saying it's the first one, but I've seen this one before. Was Inuyashiki. Inuyashiki had a really good movie live action adaptation. So yeah, it's not the first one. But yeah, let's get on with the topic at hand. Why do I think it's good, but it's not great? First of all, like the actors and everything, like the cast itself, I think they did a good job. Didn't feel off. I was debating whether to watch it on English or Japanese, and then Netflix made it easy for me because I didn't have the option. Maybe they added later or something. I thought it was like a day one thing, but probably it's not. I don't know. So I watched it in English because I didn't have the other option. I don't know if it was just like because I'm in Spain or I don't know. But yeah, it was good in that regard. I do like that they changed some stuff. I do not like that they changed some other stuff. And I'll get into that later. Overall, I thought they were gonna include. I'm gonna talk a bit spoilers from now on, okay? Because otherwise it's gonna be hard for me to actually get on with quote unquote my review. I'm not a movie reviewer or series reviewer or anything like that. I'm not even a game reviewer. Sometimes I review games, but whatever. Um, but yeah, basically, uh, I guess I'll start with the ending. I was actually kind of surprised that they decided to do that. I thought they were gonna end at Lockdown. They didn't get to Lockdown there, but they did do the scene with the barrel, which I knew was a thing because it was in the trailers. But I'm not actually a fan of that because the scene of the barrel is supposed to be in the entrance of the Grand Line, and to do it like I get it, like maybe they just didn't have enough to include Lockdown and they decided to make it before. But I don't know. I would have rather just make one extra episode and just do it after Lockdown. I don't know. Like it was a bit weird because it's supposed to be like at the entrance of the Grand Line. Um, the way they did it here, it works, but it doesn't have like the same strength as after Lockdown. But it's okay. Let's just start. Let's just continue with the start. I actually liked the start. The first episode was actually pretty good. I don't have much to complain in that episode. Um, I like the fact that they added like an after-known fact from Zoro, for example, where they show him against Mr. Seven because Mr. Seven was trying to get him into Baroque Works, but then Zoro said, "Look, no, if I'm not the number one, then fuck off," and then he killed that. And they followed it up with what happens um, with Cape Town. What are they called? Shelltown. Shelltown. Yeah, basically where Morgan happened. Before that, like Albida and Kobe and everything, I think it was good. I will say one thing though, like this is true for pretty much the whole series. I think the choreography and the effects are not up to date with the combat. Like the choreography is actually pretty bad. You can see like tons of movies with way better choreography. I'm not talking about just Chinese or martial arts movies. But I'm just talking about. I mean, it's not probably the best example because budget and production. But Marvel movies do it way better. Like you can in this series you can see the cable pulls. You can see how like the action doesn't actually flow. Like there's a lot of weird movement going on that if you know about you know martial arts and you know about choreography a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I do know a bit of that. It just feels odd. I get that they're not gonna do it the same way as in the anime or the manga because it doesn't translate as well. But when you do like a different approach, then that approach needs to also be good, and it wasn't the case in my opinion. It's not a big deal, but it is a deal. Okay. So yeah, in Shelltown, I get that they didn't want to do the same approach, but I think it was also a bit weird. Starting with the bar fight, I think I like that one. Instead of like just making Zoro cut the dog of Helmeppo or something like that. They just made it like a fight there. What I didn't like as much was that they also put the Onigiri girl. I don't remember exactly the name of her. Um, they didn't add that character to the when he was imprisoned or with the cross or whatever. They added it in the bar, so I mean it's not too bad, but I felt like it was better. Like the way it was done in the original, it was just a better approach. It was way more impactful, in my opinion. Then talking about when he's imprisoned there. In the original, when Luffy gets in there, he tries to, liberate Zoro, to free Zoro, and then ends up just going to get his katanas, and then goes back. And when he comes back, the Marines are there. They're pointing at them. He's trying to free him, and then Zoro says, "Like, okay, just give me the swords." And then he cuts himself free and stops all the Marines from attacking. Okay. And I don't know, like the interactions with Zoro and Luffy were more, were way better in the original. Like the way Zoro himself said, like, "Oh, you're the devil," for example. The way Morgan in this version kind of just put up a fight, like they had to work together for some reason. It was like just piece easy for them in the anime and the manga. It's kind of odd to me, especially because later on they just don't do the same with the other ones, which would make more sense. I don't know. It's like his whole body is a weapon. It's like, bro, what do you mean? It wasn't even a fucking problem back then. There was no like they shown the mistreatment of his son, Helmeppo, but not to the mistreatment of the other Marines, or like they were building the Morgan statue. That statue was already built apparently. I like the addition of Nami there was okay. Like I didn't have an issue with that. I think the way they changed some stuff here with Nami was okay. But I don't know, like the interactions and how they did it overall is just different, but not in a good way, in my opinion. I'm not gonna get into the details because otherwise this video is gonna be very long. But I will say one more thing, like another interaction between Luffy and Zoro. I remember because I'm just going by memory. I didn't recheck or anything like that. Zoro saying like, "If you get in the way of my dream, I will kill you," or something like that. something similar to that. I don't remember exactly the quote, but yeah, like that was also missing. Um, then we move on to Baggy. Let's just move on to Baggy. I didn't get a. I don't have much of a problem with Baggy himself, or the change of how things go, kind of. But I think like maybe they underestimated the effect of this character, or maybe they just couldn't do it because of laws or whatever. But you guys remember Shu, the dog? Shu was actually a very important and very emotional uh, character, like because of the way that it interacted. Well, the dog interacted with Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, and also the not owner, because it was like keeping. I don't know, like all that interaction with the dog and the pet shop and the mayor of the town. I was missing, man. I I like that. I like that they changed the instead of like the cannon, they made it like the sea water tank, and then they tied it with the flashbacks because and they wanted to make the flashbacks a bit more bearable. Like maybe they like not dump it all in the same one, just piece by piece, and they put it together with current actions. I think that was good. I like that. Um, so yeah, that was good. I get that they didn't show the lion because that would be more of an issue. Not like Moji or the lion or like any kind of relevant, but they added Kabashi, and instead of I don't know, like you guys remember when Zoro cut down Baggy? Baggy pretended to be cut down and then stabbed him in the back with the knives, like around this area, you know. And then he had to fight with that injury against Kabaji, and then Kabaji was using tricks and kicking him there until he cut himself, and then used the onigiri. That was good. Like instead, like they made it like very very side thing. I don't know. I didn't like that. Not a fan of that. The fight itself with Buggy, I see that they kind of made it more or less the same thing, but it didn't feel impactful or nearly as impactful. Um, I don't know. They need to work on the choreography and in the effects. Um. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about this, but I hate what they did with Kobe Helmepo and Garp. Um, and I'll say why. So I like that they shown, that Garp and Helmepo and everything like that. Like they, and Kobe, they started, tying that to the mini story, of the training of Kobe and Helmepo that shows later at the end of the live action series for now. Um, I like that, but I don't like how they just made it so Garp is already an important character and it interacts directly with the story now when it's supposed to be introduced way later. Spoilers for if you haven't checked out the anime and the manga. It's supposed to happen like 300 episodes, like over 300 episodes into the anime. And right there, it's revealed that it's the the grandpa of Luffy, uh, along with other reveals at the same time. I I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like how they changed that, and it's not only like they revealed it early or anything like that. It's just the fact that it interacted directly with the story, and it changed the story as well. I'll get into that more, but let's continue. So now we're move on to Kuro, Usopp, Kaya, all the stuff. I have several issues with this one. Starting with the very beginning, the way they interact with Usopp in the anime and manga at the start, I think is very relevant, very relevant. Um, when they arrive, Usopp is there with his three little friends, and kind of threatens Luffy and the crew. And this is something that I think was like basically like the only thing that they were missing in the flashback as well. You remember when they threatened Shanks with the gun in the flashback, and they said like, if you're gonna threaten us with a gun, you have to be ready to use it. Yes, that's the quote more or less. And they basically do that parallel with this scene with Usopp and Luffy and the crew in the manga and anime. But they just straight up like just discard all of that, which I think was very relevant. I don't have an issue with the flashbacks again. I don't have an issue with the setting. They changed the setting of everything going on. Bachi and Sham, the two brothers. Now it's brother and sister instead of two brothers. Why adding them if you're gonna completely discard Django? Django is way more relevant than Bachi and Sham. Like, sure, Django didn't really get much of a fight, but I mean, the Bachi and Sham fights, or even the Kuro fight, were not much of a fight. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying like they should focus more on the fights. Just they maybe. I'm saying that. Yes, I'm saying that. I'm not saying that they should focus a lot on it. Just a bit more, because it's just very like, it kind of happens. Not much. I don't know. Like that change between. Let's start with this. Between Bachi and Sham versus Zoro with one sword, and then Nami has to get back his other two swords, and then the moment that he gets that, like, he just starts destroying them. I don't know. I think that interaction was very important. Also, like when Usopp tries to help Zoro when he was fighting with one sword by using the slingshot, and then Zoro just sees that and interacts, intercepts, so he doesn't get, in danger because of that. Django with the fucking hypnotism powers, like they it's very odd because like with Morgan they showed like, oh yeah, I am the one who defeated and killed or sent Kuro to his death. But then the key element to all of that is Django, and they just completely disregard all that issue. That's actually a plot hole that they included. Django also being like the main reason why Bachin Sham can be of any fight against Zoro, like with the buff and all that stuff. When Kuro gets serious and does the indiscriminate attack all over the place in the beach, like all we got right with a fight with Luffy was like just him zooming around a little bit and then just doing a small scratch instead of like actual cuts like that he was getting. I don't know. It's just they just get going with the bell attack, Gomu Gomu no Kane. I just prefer to say it in Japanese. It just feels like, I know that it has to be different, but the way that they changed some stuff and the way they didn't change some stuff is kind of very, underwhelming in my opinion. Like again, in general, I liked it, but yeah, there's those moments that are like very full of impact on both action and story, and interactions between characters that are just missing. But yeah, let's just move on. Oh, by the way, like this is another thing. Like why these moments are important, especially with the interaction with characters. Like all these moments of determination of Luffy in the fights, all these interactions at the start when they meet each other are very important reasons for why they join and why they establish like these connections. And they just kind of like just okay, well, we'll just join in because why not? Like no, they didn't actually work on that connection. It's not strong enough for that. It doesn't actually justify them just casually just entering like the crew. I guess it's more justified with Sanji. Like they obviously like all of them has some justifiable amount, but it's not nearly as much of a connection as in like the original. I'm having an issue with that. Like it's problematic. And honestly, like again, choreography and effects getting into like if they are gonna continue with another season, which they should, getting into the Grand Line. I'm guessing that they would go up until like the end of Arabasta. That would be like I think one a good second season, and going on until then, you really need that. You really need that because otherwise it's gonna start dropping a lot. Because East Blue is way more about connections, story, setting. It's not that much about the fights. Okay. Again, it never is about the fights, but they do have some importance, especially because of those moments. But yeah. Anyways, leaving the Syrup Island with Usopp. Going Mary. By the way, am I just crazy or Mary did not die, right? Like I'm not talking about the live action. I'm talking about the real one, the anime and manga. Mary did not die, right? I think I remember it. I remember him in the stories, in the mini stories. I think he just like gave them the ship. I'm pretty sure. I didn't check. I didn't recheck, but I'm pretty sure that was a thing. Not sure why they decided to do it like that, but it's okay. It's not like a big deal. Anyways, moving on. Normally in the story, what they have here is Gaimon and the island with the animals and all the stuff like the treasure on the hill or on the top of the mountain. That was, I mean, I guess later on it doesn't really get, it doesn't get very important. Like it doesn't have like a lot of relevancy. But I'm not a fan of them skipping that. Especially considering Oda said himself that Gaimon is probably like his favorite character. At least back in the day. I don't know what he would say now. Okay. So after that, we move on to Baratie. And here I am missing two characters. More, actually, but we'll get into that later. Two characters, mainly. Johnny and Josaku. Why are they relevant? The thing is, like, they're not relevant for Baratie. They're more relevant for Arlong Park. I mean, I guess it's just okay for them because, like, they could have just done it another way. But the thing is, they didn't do it the other way. Johnny and Josaku are actually very relevant for the story. But, it's okay. Just move on. So they get on the Baratie. And things kind of move on the same way, as usual. But the big difference here is that instead of the events going like, Jin appears and then Krieg appears, and then after Krieg appears, then Mihawk appears, all that stuff. And then Mihawk is like chasing them down and all that stuff. I think I like the change in one way, but in another way, I don't like it. I like the change because if they want to save up time, skipping Krieg is actually one of the best times to do that. And I don't like it because that means that the reason why Mihawk is in the Baratie, or arrives to the Baratie, is because Garp asked him to do that, asked him to go after Luffy. I think that is the worst decision in the entire live action series right now. It doesn't go. I'm not talking about like Mihawk. Like with Mihawk, I don't have an issue with how he behaves. It's more about Garp. Garp has never struck me in any point of the story of manga or the anime as someone who would ask a Shichibukai, a warlord of the sea, to do something like going after Luffy. It feels like, yeah, sure, you could say, okay, it could fit the job description, right? Like it's a good good guy for the job. But also Mihawk is known to be doing whatever the fuck they want, he wants. And like I said, like Garp, I don't think that his character is someone who would just like ask someone else to do it, especially like a warlord, especially Mihawk. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I really don't see it. I like that Krieg is like not there because it's just kind of like a waste of time. Not entirely, because it's part of the reason why Sanji is convinced on going on the crew, because of what Luffy did in the fight. His conviction, and like Zeph's. Remember, like when Zeph was talking about Luffy's weapon, that his spear is stronger than any other weapon. That is very relevant. Like the moment with the poison gas and Sanji Gin, that's also very relevant. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to one of the main dishes, I guess, of this whole live action series. One of the more important moments, I would say. Zoro versus Mihawk. I don't have an issue with the way that they arranged the duel and everything. I like that. I like more the fact that they did it in the manga and the anime. It's just right there when he arrives. But I don't have an issue with them like changing that in that way. What I do have an issue with is again the interactions and a bit like especially at the end, like the way they did the final blow, the interchange of blows. But yeah, okay. Instead of getting impressed by the will of Zoro, like the conviction of Zoro and his relentlessness in chasing his dream, he just comments, "Oh, you're brave." No, man. Like it's not like it's a bad thing that he said he was brave. The bad thing is that he didn't say the other thing. He didn't talk about his will. He didn't talk about his conviction. I feel like they were almost there with the interaction. It was almost perfect, but then those lines by Mihawk are the ones that are lacking. Not only there, but also at the end. The clash, it was done in a very awkward way, in my opinion. Like, I mean, it's not the worst interchange, but again, it's not the best either. But yeah, after that, when he cuts down, he cuts Zoro on the chest. Well, actually, this direction, yes. Um, it was almost the same interaction, but not exactly the same. There's two king, well, I guess three key components missing here. One is that Sanji wasn't there to see it. Remember Sanji when he was seeing Zoro uh, getting defeated by Mihawk? He said like, "It's that simple. Just give up on your dream. Don't throw out your life," or something like that. Like not exact quote, but something like that. Because he was back then, he was just still like not chasing his dream. He was not believing in dreams that much. He was just like that was the reason why he was in the Baratie, and then Zeph convinces him to chase his dream. That part, the last part, Zeph convincing, they did that right. Um, but yeah, like the other part is like missing. Of course, like Johnny and Yusaku did not show the bounty of Arlong to Nami, which is a trigger for Nami to leave the crew, and instead they change it. So I don't know, like the way they change it, where like it just Arlong takes Nami. I don't know. That was not great in my opinion. But yeah. Anyways, Mihawk saying, "Grow stronger and try and surpass me." The way that he said it, like it's way way less impactful than in the anime or manga. And Zeph reacting to that also, like in the anime and manga. Like I'm not gonna like say the exact quote again. I'm just trying to like remember. But try and surpass me, Roronoa. Uh, get stronger. I'll be waiting for you at the top, or something like that. Something similar to that. The way that he said it in like the anime and manga is way stronger than the way they said it in the um, in the live action. Um, what he said, what Zoro says afterwards is fine. Um, the interaction with Luffy was also weaker. The Mihawk and Luffy interaction was weaker. I don't know. Okay, so here's where the story gets another difference from the live action again, and but in a more relevant way. Um, Zoro doesn't get healed in the original story. It doesn't get healed there. It doesn't get patched up there. It's all the way in the Kokoyashi village, in the Konomi Islands. This is one like another interaction that is just kind of like I think they missed out a lot on this one. Zoro interacting with Hachi, which by the way is nowhere to be seen. They did not add Hachi at all. Hachi, who is actually important later on in the story, like a Wolvie. Uh, but yeah, interacting with Hachi, getting himself into Arlong Park, then literally beating the shit out of everything, everyone with just one sword, and getting and hurt and everything. That was a statement. The entrance of Luffy onto Arlong Park after everything, like punching into the building. The moment of Johnny and Yosaku like throwing the swords to Zoro, and him catching them into the uh, what was it called? Like Oro Nagashi, I think it was called. With against Hachi, they just didn't do that because there's no Hachi fight at all, no Tatsumaki, no. Didn't even do like Onigiri at any point. Mm, fight with Arlong, like with Arlong, like him, like Luffy getting into the ground, and then Arlong just getting him from the ground and tossing him in the water, and then the other ones have to cooperate, including like work from like literally everyone, like uh, Nojiko, like the guy with the scars and the windmill hat in the water. Sanji trying to rescue, almost getting intercepted by Hachi, but Hachi has like the wounds. Arlong getting like super shocked about Zoro's state and how he was gonna be like a big threat to him. He never actually used the weapon either, like the sword. Like he was wearing it, but he didn't get to actually swing it or anything. No, I have an issue with a lot of things in this live action. Um, but yeah, I guess I pretty much like explained everything that I have an issue with. I think they did a pretty decent job, pretty good, but it wasn't great. Like I would say it's worth watching if you're a fan of One Piece. And some people actually super enjoy it. For me, it wasn't the case. Like I enjoyed some parts, but other parts is like, bro, why? Um, I don't know. I'm just as a fan of the series and how I appreciate the original artwork. Like original story and artwork, and the way they deliver everything. I get that they want to do it differently, or they have to do differently some stuff, but the way they did it, in my opinion, was not delivered in the right way. Um, I don't know. To me, it was lacking on those connections and those impactful moments of changes in story that basically make some moments disappear. Uh, Not a fan of that. That's basically it. Um, if I had to give like a score from 1 to 10, and being like completely fair according to my point of view, I will give it a 6. And I don't think that's a low score. Like I think people like when they give out scores. Sometimes I just think like about PT, and like a 5 is like really bad. No, a 5 is a 5. A 6 is a 6. This is out of 10. If it was a 5, it was like, bro, like they cannot do it. But it was pretty neat. No, it was better than that. 6, maybe 7, but somewhere between that. Um, yeah. I think it's like pretty good, but not great. They could improve into it, of course. Maybe with the second season when they already know that it's like a good project. Maybe they'll get into it more. Maybe they'll work more on the effects, on the choreography, and everything. Um, but I don't know. I was expecting a bit more when it comes to like the story and everything. Well, that's about it. That's 40 minutes of me just rambling about this. I hope you enjoy it. Put your commentary in down below in the comments. If you disagree with me, that's okay. Just keep it chill. And yeah, see you next time. Okay, there's a few things that I forgot to talk about. One of the things is like the interaction between Baggy and Arlong. I don't see the point of that beyond like just changing the story. Like they did that to change the story, and that's about it. Like how Arlong went to get Nami at the Baratie, looking for Luffy. Honestly, that's like again, I like that they change some stuff. I don't like that they change some other stuff because the interactions just get worse in this case. I like the animations that they did with bounties. Every time that they presented like a new character with bounty, they showed that animation. That was pretty cool, and interacting with the scene itself. I like the interaction between Mihawk and Shanks. Even though it was a bit different, I think the extra that they added was pretty nice. I could I could still tag you even with one arm on the back. uh, Shanks and Mihawk rivalry. Mihawk is the greatest swordsman. Just saying that. Yeah. Smoker getting revealed at the end. That was pretty nice. Kind of expected as well. I hope that they also add Tashigi because that's very relevant as well. As much of a secondary character Tashigi is, with the story of Zoro is very relevant. So they have to do something with that. And yeah, remember about the barrel thing? It's supposed to be after lockdown, not before. Before the Grand Line, the reverse mountain and everything. And yeah, the Baggy Alvida alliance thing, I think that was pretty cool and important for the start of the next season on lockdown. But yeah, that's about it. That's I think everything that I forgot to talk about. If I didn't talk about it, is either forgot or I don't think it was that relevant to talk about. Yeah. See you around.